Thank you so much for joining us today for This Needs to Be Said. We're on with Miss Angel Dunworth of StreetlightHalo.com. You want to go out to her website and see all of the great resources she has to help families that are being faced with a loved one or even themselves in addiction or on that trail to addiction. Angel, what do you have for us today?
Okay, well, today actually I'm talking about inhalants, but let me correct you on just one thing. I have more than just drug addiction or alcoholism or on that path. I have on the website, there are resources for disabled children, disabled parents, mental health, anorexia, gangs, runaway. You name it, if I could think of it, it's on there.
All right. Well, that's okay. I like that kind of correction because that lets them know that there's even more resources out there for things that I didn't even mention. So awesome. I love that correction. What you have for us today?
Actually, today I have another part of a previous show. This is more focusing just on inhalants because I had no idea how far inhalants have gone. The statistic for people that have died from sudden sniffing death syndrome, that's when your heartbeat becomes erratic and rapid, causing the user to go into cardiac arrest. And that can happen the very first time you use an inhalant. Statistically, 15% of the suffocation deaths in the U.S. are linked to inhalants. But the reason the statistic sounds low, but it's actually at least double that, is because when you suffer from this, doctors don't normally think, it looks just like a cardiac arrest, so they don't normally think that's what it is. And so unless you come in with paint all over your face or gasoline all over your clothes, they don't know what you died from, and they have to help the dying infant in the emergency room. So they don't have time to stop and look at you and see why you died. They have to go on to the next patient. I mean, you have to understand, in an emergency room, you want to get people through as quickly as possible because you want to save as many lives that day as you can. So the statistic doesn't sound that high, but it's a lot higher and a lot scarier. I know a young lady who died at 14 years old within 2 weeks of starting messing with inhalants. 2 weeks. So if you only want to have 2 weeks to live, I guess this is the road for you. But if you wanted to live longer than that, you need to not do these things. Your lungs can only take so much, and this stuff goes straight to your brain. Now, the first thing I want to do is to define some of the terms, because if parents hear their kids say it on the phone, they don't know what it is. They just go on with what they're doing, thinking it's a role-playing game or something. They may not be tipped off. Okay? The first term I want to talk about is huffing. Huffing is when a chemically soaked rag is held up to your face or stuck into your mouth, and the substance is inhaled, and that's usually gasoline. So don't think you're keeping gasoline in the garage is necessarily a good thing. Okay? But don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing either, because kids can do this using Windex. Anything that's around your house that they can inhale, once you're hooked on inhalants, you will do that. Because like any other junkie, you have to get that next high. It's more so with inhalants, because this is actually worse than heroin. If you don't get that next fix, you will die. The high lasts approximately 7 seconds. So imagine how often you have to do this to keep yourself from dying, and how quickly the toxins add up in your system. Okay, the second definition is sniffing, and that's when an inhalant drug can be done directly from a container, clothing, plastic bags, or rags saturated with that substance, or even right from the product. So if you're sniffing laundry detergent, you wouldn't need to put that in anything. And kids will do that. Adults will do that. Okay, let's not just always say it's the kids, because it's not always the kids. Sometimes it's the parents. But just so people know, if your family is addicted to inhalants, there is no safe way to keep from this. You have to make this person be Baker-acted and take them directly to the hospital, because you cannot detox from these things just by stopping. A doctor has to be present or it will kill you. Let me repeat that. If you keep doing it, it will kill you. If you stop doing it, it will kill you. Get to a doctor. Don't play with this. Don't wait till tomorrow. Bagging. Now, when bagging is done, that means you're putting the spray paint in a bag or a sock and putting it over your head. Okay, and that's how they're doing it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be spray paint. It could be Mod Podge or an adhesive glue, anything with a scent really that's going to make you feel a little off. Inhalant paraphernalia, parents need to look for socks, Ziplocs, T-shirts, or clothing soaked in gasoline, because now the kids, they want to carry their drug of choice around with them, but, that you can't readily do that. You can't walk down the street with a gas can. So what they're doing is they would soak their clothing in gasoline or spray paint or whatever, and they will dry it and soak it and dry it and soak it until it's super strong, and then they'll just wear it, and that way they can sniff their arm or their sleeve or whatever and keep the high going, because basically otherwise their body starts to shut down. Spray paint, Mod Podge, spray glues, anything with a scent can be used as an inhalant drug. Paper bags. If you're finding a lot of paper bags around your house for no good reason, you might want to look into that. Kerosene, gasoline, and computer duster cans. Okay? The computer duster stuff, everyone thinks that's air in a can. It isn't. And kids are now using it to get high. Also, another thing that parents need to know, the reason that they make your child who has asthma sign something about the inhaler and come down to the office, which is ridiculous, because if you're having an asthma attack, you could die before you get to the office. The reason they have you sign that is because kids are putting the inhalants into old asthma inhaler type things and just puffing them right in class. So they also use regular albuterol or any of the regular things that we use to treat asthma. If you don't have asthma, that will make you high. So they're using that as well. So watch for that. Okay, there's really not a non-medical detox for inhalant addiction. And just like alcoholism, inhalant addiction is just that. It is an addiction. Just like alcoholism, an addict will go to any length to get their fix. Don't think they won't take you out to get that fix. Okay? Once you are addicted to a substance, it is a substance that you're interacting with. It is not the human being taking the substance. That person is not in there right now. So if that means you have to call the police and have them taken down and physically forced into hospital to get help for their inhalants, then that's what you have to do. But you are saving their life. Don't feel bad about it. Okay, if you have to have someone Baker acted to stop them from doing inhalants safely so that they will not die on you within the next 2 days, then that's just what you have to do, especially if you're a parent, and you should never feel bad about that. Don't even ask yourself where you failed or if you failed. Just make sure you do the next right thing. The next right thing is getting them medical help. Don't stick them in a detox center because there aren't doctors in a detox center. You have to go to a physical doctor. They will spray the inhalant on their clothes. They will soak their clothing with it to be sniffed so that they can take their drug with them. Okay? So if they go into the emergency room and they don't have these signs, they could literally die, and no one would know why. People think, well, I know she's 14, but she went into cardiac arrest. Okay, that's not very likely. So you need to be on the lookout for it. Unlike alcohol, though, the sufferer's high only lasts a few minutes, and that means that they have to keep huffing, sniffing, or whatever it is to prolong their high. That's really all I had on that. I just wanted to stress to people that if you know someone who's using inhalants, don't try to stick them in a detox center. Take them to the doctor. They need a medical detox, just like someone on heroin needs to go to the methadone clinic. You cannot just stop. Your heart will stop.
Wow.
So just so people know that, that's very important.
Angel, tell them how to get in touch with you outside of This Needs to Be Said. This is amazing. Not amazing good, but amazing wow. The effort that our children or people will put in to keep something going every 7 seconds. Like, I would get tired. I think I would just get tired of having to do that much work to get this feeling, but that's my situation. But there are apparently enough that this is a conversation for there to be statistics out there and information that you were able to gather. So parents, as well as just any loved ones, you have any loved ones, just be mindful of these behaviors, these things that we'll do for a thrill and what it's costing us, costing our lives, So just things that we may be too busy to pay attention to, we need to slow down a little bit and see, especially adults, if we're doing this behavior. But if our children are doing this behavior, you're in and out of the house real quick, pay attention to the surroundings. I like the pointers that you always give us to just ask questions. Okay, they have a computer they're not using, they have paper bags they're not, what do we have them for, So, and it made me wonder when you said that. I wonder if that's why grocery stores have gone to plastic instead of paper. I always wondered that. What was the reason they switched that? And you have to request paper bags now.
They use plastic bags as well. So it doesn't really.
Wow.
They can use a sock. They can use anything. They can use a pillowcase. So you have to understand that if you're addicted, okay, the person that is addicted, maybe it was a thrill or because their friends dared them to the first time. But after that, that person is gone. Once it's an addiction, that person is not who you're dealing with anymore. You're dealing with the drug now. And the drug is merciless. So never stop and think, well, I feel bad because they said that or they did that. And, and they're right, I did argue with them last week or whatever. Don't even think about that. You're not dealing with that person. That person's not in there anymore. You're talking to a high. That's all you're talking to.
Wow. And that's something to keep in mind. You keep reiterating that for us, but that's something definitely to keep in mind while we're looking for the best way to support our loved ones. And you've given us when we should and when we shouldn't. So definitely let everyone know how to get in touch with you outside of This Needs to Be Said.
Okay, if you need to contact me directly, actually on www.streetlighthalo.com, there's a contact form that goes directly to my email. If you are afraid to talk to me but you still need help, I have a lot of resources on there. And if you want to buy my books, that would be www.CheshireGrandPublishing.com. So that's
all right.
That's how to reach me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being a part of This Needs to Be Said.